I'm Bev Ferguson. I've attended this church for 76 consecutive years. All 50 years here at Peoples, as well as 26 years at our beloved Central Gospel Tabernacle. Central Tabernacle was a real important part of our lives. My parents were married there. I was dedicated as a baby there. I was saved and received my baptism in Children's Church. I met my husband, George Dryden, at Young People's, and we just enjoyed being a part of it so much. But then one day there was a phone call that changed it all, and it was a shocking phone call. It was my father that said, "Bev, there's been a fire, and I think it's a bad one. We're on our way down to the church. We'll meet you there." And my heart just stopped. When we got there, there was a huge crowd. People were just gathered around, and there was crowd control. People were shocked, they were bewildered, they were angry, they were crying. There was every kind of emotion around the front of that church when we got there. But then a firefighter came up, and he was just looking so tired. And my father broke away from the crowd and walked over to him and shook his hand and said, "I would just like to thank you on behalf of the congregation of our church for all the hard work you guys have done. And it's clearly been a stubborn fire, and it's amazing that it didn't spread to all the houses around." And he just was so grateful and said thank you. And before he could usher us over to the crowd and get us away, my dad said, "I'm a board member at this church. Would it be possible to get a quick glimpse of the extent of the damage?" And I expected him to say, "No, you've got to back off." But he said, "No, as long as you stay with me, follow me, don't go past me. I'll let you have 1 minute, maybe 2 tops, but you'll at least get an idea of the devastation." But I wasn't prepared for what I saw. The side door was totally burnt, and it was just a big opening. And as we got closer, it was so hot and it was so steamy, and it just was such a dreadful smell. Because the platform, the pulpit, the big wooden altar that went around the front of the church, the big organ, the big piano, it wasn't there anymore. It was just in a big heap of ashes in a big deep pit in the basement, and my heart just sank. It was almost too much for me, and I said to my dad, "I can't do this." And I ran and told my mom how I was feeling. I said, "The church is gone." And she just looked at me and said, "Beverly, the church is not gone. The building's gone, but we're the church, and we're still here." I said to my dad, "It's like a nightmare." And he thought for a minute, and he said, "Beverly, this is a nightmare. It is definitely a nightmare. But I know that God's got everything under control, and that he has a plan for this church." And he said, "I know Bud Williams, our pastor, is storming heaven right now for this plan. And we don't know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but it will happen. And I promise you, young lady, that someday this nightmare is going to change into a dream come true." And here we are at People's Church 50 years later, and that dream did come true. God was so good. We're just so thankful that we've been able to come here for all these years, and Ron and I are just so thrilled to be a part of a ministry that just seems to not be stagnant. I just get so excited every time I come to church and meet new people. It's just such a great feeling, and we're just so excited about the expansion that's going to happen. Ron and I now have the privilege of being able to support this amazing dream, and we're just so thankful that our pastors had the knowledge and the vision to have this sensory room. We're so thankful to be a part of such an amazing church. And all I can say is, here we go again, we're growing again. Just watch us, Hamilton.